Many thanks, Mr. Ingles, and welcome back to Politics Today. We'll go straight back to Niyi Akinṣiju. Mr. Akinṣiju, this spread over 3 years is only for the 180.8 billion naira budget environment. It doesn't cover the foreign loan of almost $30 billion. Is this a wise move at this times of economic hardships?
I think we may need to cross-check that fact, you know. The environment, it's principally for 2016. It's a 2016. It's an administrative thing, you know. You via from budget aids for a particular, for particular items and move to other items. It's the environment, seriously, that I think is for 2016. The foreign loan is for is a rolling plan, you know, for 2017 to 2019. I think that is what was announced, and that's to the extent that's my own understanding of it. And I think we should appreciate the president and his team for coming up with this, especially in the light of the fact that assessing our own resources, you know, in Nigeria had become a challenge. When you find yourself in a situation like this, you want to go for broke. And that is talking about a government that has so much commitment, you know, to provide infrastructure and others for Nigeria. We have the challenge, as it were, presently, with infrastructure, which has limited our capacity in all ramifications. If you're talking road, you're talking hospitals, you're talking electricity, you're talking water resources, agriculture, and all that. We know there are limitations, and there is a need to pump enough money into those sectors. And in doing that, if we cannot raise money internally, don't forget running a government is like running an enterprise. We can say, okay, this is the Nigerian enterprise. You have problems with your cash flow. How do you redeem your cash flow if you cannot raise money organically, internally? You try and raise money from outside. And now, the beautiful thing, if you are talking about the character of this loan, the beautiful thing is that presently, borrowing money from multilateral and development partners is cheaper than borrowing money internally in Nigeria. Treasury bills now cost us more than 18-point-something%, you know, for 3 months, for 90 days, you know. So if we are borrowing money at 1.5, maximum 2.5 interest, you know, over 20 years long tenor, it's more attractive, as it were. And since the borrowings are targeted at capital projects, it does mean that we would be able to start rejuvenating the Nigerian economy.
Okay, just a moment, Niyi. Mr. Shoma, at this critical times, is it a wise move to borrow from our future monies?
I did say that in every country borrows, but the question is, what are you borrowing for and how are you paying back? We're talking about borrowing. First and foremost, we need to see sincerity on the part of government and government officials. Here we complain about ostentatious lifestyle of government. And what's the guarantee that majority of these funds that we are borrowing will not go into the same lifestyle, will not go into the same recurrent expenditures that we are complaining about? It is not the first time that this government is talking about borrowing. You need to, I had said it here, we need to see a sincerity and a systemic approach to curbing excesses. When you do that, it becomes easy for people to truly believe that even if you borrow from the future, and then you have a plan, a repayment plan, so that at the end of the day, you don't borrow the future of your generations unborn. If you remember, these were the same kind of borrowing from these same institutions where interest rate is lower that led us to the repayment that Obasanjo did in his during his administration. And then we all sang Uhuru that we are free from debt. And now we are back to the same issues of borrowing. We started with China at the beginning to finance projects. Why are we not looking at what do you call it, PPP, where most of these days governments no longer sit back to say, yes, We want to drive this project. We want to build massive infrastructure. What government world overs are doing now are opportunities to give private sectors the opportunity to build and then recoup your investment. Why the government provide enabling environment to enable business thrive. But what we do here, government, the same government that is telling you that government has no business in business, is the same government that is borrowing to go into business. The same government that is borrowing to build roads. The same government that is borrowing to build railway line. The same government that is borrowing to build hospitals.
Okay, just
you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't add up.
Okay, just a moment, Mr. Akinsinju. One sore thumb that has stuck out for some time now is the issue of the recovered, looted funds. Nigerians want to know what or how is the looted money, how are the monies recovered being expended, and what should government do to boost confidence and assure Nigerians that these monies are safe or are being used judiciously and we are not just borrowing into our future?
Thank you very much. But let me quickly respond to liberals there. Talking about trust in government and if government would do what it's supposed to do with the borrowed fund. I think the government already has a pedigree, has a track record.
I doubt.
In July, August, thereabout, our gross domestic, the value of our gross domestic product plummeted to as low as 296, and a number of people who were in opposition to government actually screamed and were very happy with that figure. But within 3 months, the value of our GDP grew exponentially to $415 billion. Now that tells you that government policy is already working. I mean, this has brought us to become the #1 economy in Africa. Now, if government has also been able to commit itself and pumped 700 billion naira as targeted in the budget, in budget 2016, in capital expenditure, it does mean that government is doing something. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, the policies and funds targeted at agriculture is also showing results and consequences, positive consequences. For now, we are all hopeful that by November, by December, when harvest time comes, Nigeria will actually experience buoyant harvest, especially in the rice sector. Now, going
Mr. Akinsinju,
we should look at
Mr. Akinsinju, just a moment. You didn't quite answer that question about the looted funds and what direction government should be going now to.
I wanted to answer liberals first. I will quickly look at this. What is obvious is that the Minister of Finance had also made a number of presentations, on the value of monies recovered and the challenges we are faced with it. What cannot be questioned is that if you have had solid assets, which is not cash, there's no way you can easily translate that into liquid cash, in an environment we have now. In a recession, of course, that a number of people, those who are rich especially, want to hold on to their fund, to the liquid cash they have. What we lack now is that we don't have liquid cash enough, and there's a need to infuse capital, to infuse money into the system. And if we have to infuse that money into the system by borrowing, for God's sake, let us do that. So that
okay, Mr. Akinsinju, we need to wrap this. We need to wrap this conversation up shortly. Liberals, your final words on this matter.
That's the figure you read out from the government was the figure as at July. That's from last year to July. Between July and now, because every day you pick your newspapers or in the news.
We need to go now. Your final words on this.
Government had recovered so. Government had recovered so looted funds. And yet, these are looted funds recovered within the country, not the ones recovered outside. We're not talking about, I've not mentioned Abacha's fund, all of this while. And yet, what we're talking about, the same question you asked, what are the looted funds being used for, including the TSA, the savings from the TSA? Nobody's talking about all of this.
Thank you very much.
We're talking about borrowing.
Thank you very much, Liberals Shoma, legal practitioner, and Niyi Akinsinju, member of the APC and economic analyst, for sharing your thoughts with us. Well, that's our program tonight. Many thanks for being part of the show. I'm Imana Amawe.